Tres, cuanto, cinco, cinco, seis. Bama, how's it going? Did you know that today is December 17th, 2025? I'm super excited to be streaming, talking about Web3 class, minting coins, everything we're doing in this world. Things are happening.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it is, this month's flying by, actually, also. And we were just talking about before we even went live about how much news is coming out daily. You know what I mean? It's sensory overload, trying to keep up with everything, especially that I have going through IRL currently, and then coming home and trying to get caught up on all the news. Man, it's insane. It's good. It's in a good way. You know what I mean? It's always That's probably the most enjoyment I get nowadays is getting home from the office at night, being able to catch up on everything. You know what I mean? And it's almost impossible to on a daily basis. So I'm glad we can have these spaces and educate others also as we educate ourselves. All right, I'm getting this posted. All right, there we go. All right, I
It's
got it.
almost cliche. It's almost cliche. There's always a lot of news. And I
Mhm.
think if you're paying attention, then then you're just inundated because you're looking for the news. It's like saying, red car. If you're thinking about a red car, then you're driving, then you're going to start seeing other red car or yellow cars. You ever play the game with the yellow car?
My car is yellow, so this is
There you
beautiful.
go.
No, I'm just kidding.
You
Uh,
cause brothers and sisters to punch each other in the shoulder.
yeah, punch bugs.
There you go.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, punch
Yeah,
bug or
yeah,
padiddle, or
I remember that.
sometimes you tap the roof of the car instead of punching the sibling or the
All right,
friend.
I got this uploaded, so I'm good to go. All right, it's gonna be a good night. We've got everything sorted out. I'm gonna share this in some of the groups. Let's see. Be
Yeah. Yeah, we are figuring out how to stream. We are figuring out how all this tech works and how to manage it all. And so we are live on Twitter Spaces, and at the same time we're streaming to Twitter X Spaces, we're streaming to YouTube, we're streaming to Twitch. Uh we're potentially streaming other places in the world as well. And yeah, we're streaming because we're interested in having talks, and we thought we could have some public talks. We thought it'd be interesting just to, yeah, chit chat live about the Web3 space.
it's been so I've got everything situated now. I got everything posted. It's been so overneeded having a space. You know what I mean, like an ENS Web3 space. 'Cause there's a lot that go on X, as I'm sure you see, but a lot of them are just pure Bitcoin spaces. You know what I mean? Like I participate obviously in Bitcoin as you, but also the Ethereum ecosystem. So I've always wondered that, Gary. Speaking of that, why is it you can always find a Bitcoin space, this pure Bitcoin, but you can never find Ethereum? You know what I mean? It's always some like sub project, but there's never really an actual Ethereum space. Have you noticed that? Or over the years, what do you think the reason for that is?
That's actually really, really interesting. And, there's some blogs out there, and there's definitely some content creators that are sort of what you might call Ethereum maximalists or Ethereum maximum meaning.
Mhm.
But yeah, the majority of crypto spaces, they're either going to be Bitcoin maximum spaces, or they're going to be sort of trading maximum, right? Meme coin maximum type spaces. And it seems like there's not a lot of in between. And I think the reason is because if you want to be an Ethereum maxi, you sort of need to be a technology maxi.
Mhm.
And it's not cool, it's not sexy to be a technology maxi. It's like Bitcoin is a large narrative, and it's very simple to become a Bitcoin only type of person.
Mhm.
A lot of ways you can't lose, unless of course you understand Ethereum and you realize holding Ethereum is far superior, because where Bitcoin does a great thing in terms of replacing gold, there's far more network value in connecting people, in connecting, AI agents, and connecting smart contracts, and connecting information. And that's what Ethereum is doing. But Ethereum is the internet layer. It's the super highway. It's the internet super highway 3.0. That's what Ethereum is. The internet super highway, the decentralized internet super highway 3.0. That's what Ethereum is. And it's not sexy because, trading is sexy. People are making money. There's always a new coin coming out. There's always a new narrative. It's easy to pivot, but technology takes a long time, and it's not getting people rich quick. And there's not something necessarily to talk about every day, unless you're people like us.
Hmm. That's interesting you say that. I was having a interesting conversation yesterday about all these other coins, and I was talking about them like going to zero essentially. You know what I mean? Against like Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm consolidating into those two, man. And the crazy psychology with this is, like you said, Bitcoin can't go wrong. Man, I was reading something that said it was like 3 year span. You have zero chance of losing holding Bitcoin. You know what I mean? You're in the green. It showed like progression from month to a year to 2 years, 3 year. But here's where I think a lot of people mess up. And this is where in my community, where I see it a lot, is a lot of people think that, let's just use Bitcoin at 100,000, for example. People think if you buy one, it's got to go to 200 for you to buy, for you to make 100, or $100. Let's just use $100 scenario. $100 at 100,000 has to go to 200,000 for you to make $100, which seems like, so that's where everybody's psychology goes to. Well, what's the next cheap one that's going to turn into? And there's nothing else that's going to turn into Bitcoin, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So it's like the fallacy of it. But man, I'm so glad that I finally understood years back the DCA. You know what I mean? And like save and Jesus, that's one thing that I'm glad that I understood. But I agree. There's more Bitcoin spaces than ETH spaces, and it's crazy you say that with technology. So I was thinking about this earlier. Tell me this, and we can talk about this. This is interesting. So in the city that I'm in, I was reading a post earlier. It's like this nice building they're building in the downtown area. It's a technology institute, right? So the technology institute is focused on agri-tech and agricultural gene editing and whatnot. So I own agritech.eth, and I own agriculture.eth also. And it's not just me, because I know other people that hold some of these names and, like, I guess you could say altruistic, want to help further the technology. But I was like, man, how perfect is that? That near me is like an institute that's going to be experimenting with advancing agricultural technology, and I own that decentralized blockchain domain. You know what I mean? So it's crazy that you, and like even you and others, that we're all global, you know what I mean, that are going to be able to put like towns on the map by using these assets, you know what I mean, and to partner with companies and stuff. I thought that was super cool. I was like, I'm going to pursue that. Like, I don't even think the building's open yet, but I seen that and I seen the vision immediately. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I'll have to speak with these people, and tracing like the traceability and the data of, you know what I mean, being able to follow it all on the blockchain and tamper proof, you know what I mean? So it was like perfect hand-to-hand scenario, and I always seen that with that name. But it's cool to see an institute being developed for agriculture and agri-tech in the city that I live. So do you ever see stuff like that, man? It's interesting how you can use like assets and stuff to use them, and it's crazy how forward thinking we all were, you know what I mean, with these names and the technology.
Yeah, it is interesting that people own assets. People own unique assets, and because you own the unique asset, it gives you an opportunity to become involved in that industry, in that hobby, in that topic. I think it's pretty common that domainers become entrepreneurs because they have such passion for names they own, and so the assets just provide a lot of value, and it's a doorway to having conversations, assuming that the person that owns the asset is a reasonable person who's willing and wanting and able to have a reasonable conversation.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The conversation starters that the assets get you. You know what I mean? You can just talk to people like, I'll probably never be out here like on the tractor in the field. You know what I mean? But it'd be cool to partner with someone.
Michael Saylor owns what? Like wisdom.com and hope.com and michael.com.
What did he sell? He sold Voice, right? It was
He
voice.com.
sold voice.com. I think he has alert.com.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think he has alert.com. And so him having alert.com, or maybe it was guard.com, whatever it was, allowed him to have the conversation. It opened up a doorway to have a conversation with some sort of security company, to be able to have a business, to be able to base it around this premium domain name, alert.com or whatever it was that he owns,
Mm-hmm.
and for him to build a business around that. Him having wisdom.com is an asset that allowed him to build, to build a property around that.
Mm-hmm.
So, him having these domain names has allowed for several conversations to happen, and it has allowed for several business opportunities and doors to open up, not just because of who he is, but because of the assets that he knew to purchase when everyone else was selling.
Yeah, I agree. It's crazy how many doors open up just being involved with Ethereum. You know what I mean? That's what's crazy. How many smart people, man. I will never forget, like us going to ETH Denver a few years back and just seeing the caliber of people, how smart they were. You know what I mean? Like technologically, people, y'all are way more intelligent. Like I'm a talker, I would consider myself, but like being like tech accelerationist and whatnot that just understand this technology and the code, man, it's some crazy smart people. What did Saylor? So he's so big in Bitcoin, but he got into the domains first. I'm assuming he's seen them as like digital real estate. I'm assuming, and then that led to the principles of like Bitcoin. Was it? It was the domains he got into first, right? Do you recall? I can't hear you, Gary.
Oops. Yeah.
There it goes.
I just heard that. Yeah. In the dot-com crash, he was purchasing, $1 million dot-com domains for whatever, $100,000 a name.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's been a tech guy for a long time, and he understands technology and he understands economics. And I think he understood the future of the internet. He understood the scarcity and the network effect of technology. He understood the scarcity of assets. And so, Bitcoin is really like nothing we saw before. But when you take these different concepts and you put them together, you could understand what you're looking at after a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
He looked at Bitcoin as being a network effect, something that has the ability to have network effect in terms of a technology and technological adoption. And then he also saw Bitcoin as like a scarce Austrian, you know, unit of,
Mm-hmm.
economics. And so Bitcoin was interesting, just like domain names were interesting. And if you read between the lines, even though he's a Bitcoin maximalist, he definitely recognizes what's happening in the world with tokenization. And everything that's happening around tokenization is happening on Ethereum. And so if it's happening on Ethereum, that's going to bode very well for ETH. And if it bodes well for Ethereum, then that's going to, also then do well for
Our leverage bets on Ethereum.
any leverage bets on Ethereum.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's that, man. But it's crazy how I seen that in reverse. You know what I mean? I seen, oh, this asset. You know what I mean, when I first discovered it. But yeah, it's super interesting. He is a lot like us, man. And the bear with the everything going down, the last bear. Like I'm buying the whole way down. You know what I mean? And either like that's how I tell people. I don't ever really on X. I never really get into it with people because at the end of the day, you're going to be right or you're going to be wrong and I'm going to be right or I'm going to be wrong. And I'm prepared to make that educated, you know what I mean? Based on research. There's so much research out there, but that's interesting. Yeah, that I agree. Man, sometimes these assets, like when they're going down and it seems, cause you know how it was, remember Bitcoin ran from like 69 grand down to 17 grand and then reversed, you know what I mean? It was like doom and doom. And then here we are. And man, it's crazy. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm just glad that you're going to be able to help people, or we're going to be able to help people with coming on like safely and securely and like onboarding and having stuff to look at because Man, I feel like whenever I got involved, it was all trial and error. You know what I mean? There was just like you pay for your education, as they call it. You make a mistake, yeah, just hopefully it's a small amount, and then you don't make the same mistake twice. But at least now there's going to be kind of like guidelines for people that are interested coming into the space that can, hey, these guardrails, stay within these guardrails safely. You know what I mean? So that's, and it should be, man, the human readable name, which we both know this, but off the rip. You know what I mean? So somebody has a human readable name, like send Adam.eth. You know what I mean? It should be as automatic as that. Like when you initially get into the space, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's like download this wallet and write down this seed phrase and all this random stuff. It's like it's sensory overload, honestly, when you're new and you're getting into the space. Not to mention all the 100,000 shit coins. You know what I mean? That are promising to go to the moon.
And the immediate desire for distraction, the immediate desire to think, oh, wow, Bitcoin 10x. So how do I find the next thing that 10x is instead of waiting for Bitcoin or Ethereum to 10x again, right? Instead of dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin and Ethereum, knowing that those are going to increase in technological adoption and therefore that there might be price action that follows. People are just, trying to hit the next high as quickly as possible and in the casino of meme coins and whatnot. And then they're getting wrecked, and then they're getting burned because instead of focusing on the tech, they're focusing on the shiny object. And so it's really sad. It's really unfortunate that happens. Because people they wait until the headlines to get involved, right? They wait until the news happens that says, "Oh, Bitcoin's at an all-time high," and then after they hear Bitcoin's at an all-time high, then they buy in, or maybe
Then it goes down.
maybe they wait for it to get a little bit higher. But eventually it goes down. You know what I mean? Because eventually you are someone else's exit liquidity unless you're just dollar cost averaging. So yeah, people are always getting involved, and they get involved in one thing or another. It's usually Bitcoin, and they just they if people were tech focused, put it like this: if people were tech focused, they would get involved with Bitcoin, and they would recognize that Bitcoin is digital gold, and gold is a small percentage of the economic value of the internet. And so you get involved with Bitcoin, you're like, oh wow, this is like a savings technology. This is a lot. This is protecting my dollars at a core level. I don't got to worry about, percentage returns long term because I have Bitcoin and it's just going to go up equal to the percentage of return because it's going to absorb all the extra value because it's the only hard, scarce, limited supply asset outside of something like Ethereum. But then you realize the economic value of Ethereum is so much greater because there's an economic value on connecting every human to every human, every human to AI, every AI to every other AI. And then you have all the smart contracts in there as well. I guess you could say like a smart contract is kind of like an AI, even though a smart contract is more like a person. I mean, an AI is more like a person.
You know how fast, though, I was thinking about this a second ago when you were talking. You know how fast all this is going to like exponentiate now with like the blockchain infrastructure being put in place?
Exponentiating.
That I forgot the name of it, but I think it was AGI that showed like the once the machine learning passes human intellect, because it's crazy like with the blockchain infrastructure, and that's what's crazy to me, man. I would say the past bear market that we all went through, like we were there with the people building the infrastructure. You know what I mean? Like on the daily basis that stayed and stuck around and continued to advance. But it seems like with AI getting to where it's at, man, it's advancing quick. Listen, I'm gonna have to tell you something I did that's super interesting. It's like a trial, but call centers. I have created a call center with AI agents that I can oversee, and it's working out super effectively. So it's crazy to see just experiment with these technologies, how much of an upper hand it can help you. You know what I mean? But it's crazy. It's going to be crazy to see over the coming years. I would say over the next 5 years, how fast all of this tech accelerates, because it seems like we're at a tipping point with large language models. You know what I mean? Like Grok and Chat GPT and Copilot. And do you like Grok? Grok's probably my favorite one, man. I'll put it on expert and get to pecking away at me solving my life's problems.
A lot of good AIs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Grok is definitely top of the list.
I think so too. The what was the article you found? What was it about earlier? Was it about the bank? Mm. What was that you was reading?
I mean, we were talking about a bunch of things earlier. We were talking about banks getting involved with crypto. We were talking about what do we have, like top institutions, right? Top tier institutions, publicly backing Ethereum. JP Morgan, Amundi, Vanguard, Franklin Templeton, Fidelity, UBS, JP Morgan. I think I already said JP Morgan, but I mean, they're launching a tokenized fund. Like JP Morgan is launching a tokenized fund on Ethereum, and this is just coming a few weeks after a $3 trillion asset manager, Amundi, tokenized their fund on Ethereum. So JP Morgan is literally tokenizing funds on Ethereum. Say it again. Amundi is literally tokenizing funds on Ethereum. SEC Chair Paul Atkins said that financial markets will be on chain. That essentially everything will be tokenized, and it's just there's a major shift happening in terms of the mainstream capital, mainstream institutions. Vanguard was very, very resistant for a long time. 9.3 trillion assets under management. They were really resistant to Bitcoin for a long time. No Bitcoin in any of their funds. And they have finally flipped as well. And so you see the banks flipping, adding Bitcoin, adding Ethereum, and then taking it a step further and actually tokenizing their funds on the Ethereum blockchain. You see all these banks flipping. You see all these banks adopting these top tier blue chip digital assets. And then you also see this mad rush into stable coins. And so I guess like the big thing that we're seeing is what YouTube is doing in terms of YouTube stablecoin payouts, and how YouTube is going to change the creator monetization, by adding this, what YouTube is doing, which is some sort of opt-in option that's enabling US creators to receive payouts in basically PayPal stablecoins. PayPal dollar-backed stablecoins, PYUSD,
How does
instead of
that work, Gary? Like
instead of receiving payouts
USD.
in USD, yeah. And so instead of receiving money to their bank account, right? Like how do you receive dollars? You receive dollars to your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to receive dollars, you got to say, here's my bank account to send the dollars to, or here's my PayPal account to send the dollars to.
So it's your wallet now you're going to be?
But if you want to receive PYUSD, if you want to receive, right, PayPal USD, PayPal stablecoin, PYUSD,
Mm-hmm.
you have to give your crypto wallet address. And, I haven't seen the details. But, because I know PYUSD is on
ERC.
I know it is on, it's obviously on Ethereum, but PYUSD is also on Solana. So it's possible, even it's 100% likely, like they're going to say, hey, what's your 0x address? 100%.
What's your ENS? What's your ENS
100%.
address?
So then there becomes two other questions. The second question is, The second and third question, and the fourth question, okay. So the first question isn't a question. The first question is they're definitely going to have say, "What's your 0x address?" The fourth question is that are they also going to say yes? Are they going to launch yes with the second and third question? The second question, I had to go reverse there. The second question is, are they going to ask for your ENS address? And the third question is, are they going to ask for your Solana address?
Do you think it'll be like it is on Venmo? I know this is just speculating, but it's like enter ENS address or 0x wallet. You know what I mean? Maybe it'll be like one field where you can boom and it'll. That's interesting.
Well, there still has to, yeah. Well, on the Venmo, if you enter if you say that you want PYUSD and you put in your ENS address, there's still an extra step. If you have a Solana address entered, there's still an extra step that says, do you want to send this to your ENS Ethereum address, or you want to send us your ENS Solana address?
Yeah. Okay. See, I see. So that's
your ENS address alone doesn't necessarily. Somewhere in the UX, you have to select, the blockchain you want to send it to.
Send it to.
Just like if you're using MetaMask,
That's straight Web3 onboarding though. That YouTube, that right there, because I mean, let's look at the channels. It goes YouTube dollars bank account, where it goes YouTube Pi USD 0x wallet. 0x wallet can swap to ETH to NFT. You know what I mean? You're pretty much in the. That's actually huge. That's bigger than it sounds like at face value. You know what I mean? I've got some friends, man. I grew up with one of my best friends from growing up. They've got like a huge brand, and I've tried to talk to them. They've got like a huge YouTube following, but like creators, I think who this is going to benefit the most initially. You know what I mean? Cutting out like this prime example with YouTube. So what's funny is I was able to secure his last name, but I don't even have mine. Ain't that's so funny how it works out, ain't it? Like you know how it is. You've got your last name, but your first. So it's crazy. Some of us have been here for so long and not still have. You know what I mean? It's like wow. So I'm just doing my good deeds, man. Getting like my sisters and my friends and everybody's this available over the years, and here I am, Keith. That's funny.
Hey man, maybe we could trade Keith one day for a different name. You could upgrade your name.
Yeah, 100%. But that is interesting. I didn't think about that YouTube as that big. That's straight onboarding somebody into a decentralized crypto wallet.
And it's just it's in some ways it's not really onboarding because someone has to already understand the value.
Mm-hmm.
But you know the value.
Right.
So if you're a YouTuber and you make whatever, like $1,000 a week or $1,000 a month or whatever you're paid, even if your payout's like $100 a week, receiving $100 in PYUSD, and to receive it instantly, you're going to receive the stable coin instantly. You're going to pay far fewer fees to receive it instantly. And then you're going to be able to spend it instantly with greater ease. You're going to be able to immediately put it into Ethereum. You're going to be able to immediately deposit it into Aave. You're going to be able to immediately purchase wrapped Bitcoin. It's just the speed of money and the ability to do so much more with your money and the ability to save on all those transaction fees and, time, waiting, for legacy systems to update the digital screen versus just waiting for the blockchain to update.
It's so wild talking about legacy systems, man. It's crazy. They've got to adopt this tech. You know what I mean? You know, one thing I seen, and I thought this was the funniest thing. My cat Stella's fixing to jump up here, so I'll throw her down if she comes up. She's beautiful though. But it was Western Union. Western Union launched a stable coin or something. Did you see that like a week or two ago? It's like, why somebody's just going to send money from here to Europe if they want to, and it's going to settle instantly. Like, why would you even need Western Union? But that was the funniest cling on. You know what I mean? They're trying to like cling on to stay afoot. So I seen that, and it made me.
Better. They
You
better,
know?
well, they better pivot. Otherwise, yeah, they'll get. I mean, Western Union better get their own stable coin and somehow figure out how to stay relevant. Otherwise, they will absolutely go under
Its
because
own. Yeah,
you
100%.
so they have to blockbuster themselves. They have to Netflix themselves
But
immediately.
that's what, and I'm gonna look. I want to look at this and see who this was. Western Union stable coin. I don't even think it's their like own coin. Tap in Solana. It looks like US dollar USDPT. It's launching its own dollar. Oh, it is launching its own US dollar backed stable coin called the US dollar payment token. Yep, that was interesting though, man. Whenever I seen that, I was like, God, talk about like yeah, that's what it felt like Blockbuster or Netflix or something. You know what I mean? Or what was the Red Box? I was like, man, that's crazy that they're launching this. I thought for sure they were cooked. They're holding on though. Good for
It's
them
called
though.
US dollar payment token, USDPT.
Yeah, but why would we need? You ain't got the mason jar tonight, Gary. I started to bring my picture up here. I told you I was going to one up you, but I left it in the cabinet.
Yeah.
But on a serious note, what how is that going to keep them afloat? You know what I mean? Well, when you and I can literally send stable coins that settle instantly across the world at minute fees, like you just said, how are they gonna? It's got to be a profitable business model. You know what I mean? So they're gonna have to
Well,
generate fees, or
I mean, I'm not really. I would have to spitball. You know what I mean? Because to play armchair consultant for them.
I don't see how they can
But
have a consultant to play armchair.
but okay, well, having a stable coin reduces your fees. You know, almost.
Substantially.
I'm just gonna be hyperbolic and say 100%.
Uh huh.
So if using a stable coin decreases the fees 100%, and Western Union already owns a distribution network, like that is the more important thing, right? Like like making money off the exchange fees is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but the really powerful thing comes in owning the network.
Yeah, no, I can get that.
It's right. And so like for um man, what was that mobster movie? Was it The Untouchables talking about the like the trans intercontinental railroad and communication system bridging the financial communication systems between um like New York City and Chicago and Los Angeles, or
Mm-hmm.
I guess in Los Angeles, and this information just going back and forth and just making money every time information transferred back and forth. If Western Union owns the distribution channel and they own the endpoints and they're able to have direct communication, direct contact with the person sending the money and the direct contact with the person receiving money, there's potentially value in that network, and there's also potentially value in like additional services and an additional value. And what is that going to be? What could that be? It's really hard to say, but when in your brain, when you're seeing the barrier that Western Union has, what you got to realize is that every stable coin in the world essentially has that same barrier. So, so what are the stable coins in the world? You have Tether, you have USDC, you have Western Union's new stable coin, you have PayPal's stable coin, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are a lot of different stable coins, right? You have some stable coins that are brand new, like Tether and USDC, and you have other stable coins that are uh, really old, like PayPal. Like
J.P. Morgan's got one too, right? What did have they
everybody,
released it?
everybody has a right. So PayPal stablecoin is basically an old company. Western Union stablecoin, old company, right? USDC, Tether, those are new companies. But they all have stable coins. And all the people right now who use Western Union, right? Who you think your premise is Western Union is going away because they're legacy and they have high costs compared to stable coins. Everyone that uses Western Union, they got to figure out what stable coin are they going to move to. So what percentage of Western Union customers is Western Union going to lose because they're going to say, hey, mi familia, let's use USDT instead of Western Union. You'll get more of the money. Or they say mi familia, let's use PYUSD. So, right, like every single company that issues a stable coin needs other people to use their stable coin. And so if Western Union has a stable coin, then they're just another stable coin issuer.
I think that's going to be the problem.
The
There's going to be a
only
lot.
difference between there's two differences between Western Union and Tether. The first is the overhead cost it takes to run your business. And so Tether, it's like 8 people, not a lot of people,
That's crazy.
or something really small. And then Western Union is a lot of people, right? So Western Union is more overhead cost that they need to figure out.
What's up with?
They might be making more money because of scale. They might be making more money because of this reason. They might be making more money because of that reason. I'm not sure.
I think they're cooked, man.
But the second thing all comes down to then this, and that's going to be like value creation in what makes your stable coin either first, better, or different than any other stable coin.
There's going to be a bunch of them too. You know what? It seems like they're popping up left and right. I'm sure there's the Clarity Act.
What if, I mean, it sounds crazy, but what if a stable coin, like right now, if you pay someone with if you pay someone with a credit card, like the credit card is taking 3 to 5%.
Uh-huh.
Right? And if you pay someone with a stable coin, the stable coin is, taking, less than 1%.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
And so what if I was to use what if Western Union stablecoin was to pay me 1%? And you go, well, Gary, how's that possible? I'm not sure. But what if?
Then you have somebody else like, I got you for a 1.25.
Pay you? Yeah, like a 0.5%.
It's crazy times, man. We're going into like
But
PayPal.
they found another way to make money, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
like you ever hear that the Netflix thing where it's like you can take your Netflix instead of like you take your Netflix money and you pay them a deposit, and you can get your deposit back whenever you want. But as long as they have your deposit, they use that the deposit in DeFi, and then they're making a percentage off of their DeFi. And then if you ever want that money back, you get that money back. It's like your money. So the Netflix is sort of free if you have a deposit.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but listen, so it's going to be interesting to see where these stable coins shift because PayPal is actually becoming a bank with PyUSD. Did you see that yesterday? They're looking to become a bank. So it's going to be interesting, man, to see what happens with like local banks and credit unions and big, huge. Well, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be interesting to see what that landscape looks like 5 years from now. And I've had some conversations over the years. It's crazy versus where we're at now of people like just fading. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, it's 100%. It's here. The blockchain and the AI. You know what I mean? The AI agents are here. God, it's wild times, man. Which is just we train for this. You know what I mean? We looked into it, man. I never seen AI go into what it's been to so quickly. But I tell you what, I'm glad I'm utilizing it. You know what I mean? It is nothing but a enhancer for me. As long as it don't do your job for you, but it helps you to be more efficient. I will say for sure. And I'm sure it's only going to get better. You know what I mean? What was it? 2 years ago, it all came out. The first issue of ChatGPT. Guys, has it been 2 years? Yeah, it was right at 2 years. Now I can say, create me a picture of this, and it like creates something you can't even tell that's, you know what I mean? This AI is crazy. That's what's getting bad, man. The deep fakes and stuff. That is what's getting insane quick. Not being able to tell the difference.
Yeah, it's gotten very hard, or it's gotten. I mean, I would say it's gotten harder to tell the difference between what's real and what's not real. It's taken more time to do more discernment. Uh, but yeah, like you said, everything is changing very quickly, and you know what you said made me think about that phrase where banks are becoming technology companies,
Yeah, exactly.
and technology companies are becoming banks.
God, it's crazy.
So which is PayPal, a technology company or a bank? And now look at JP Morgan. They have a layer two blockchain. They have a stable coin. Look at Visa. Visa's has some blockchain patents. They own a crypto punk.
Who
So
Visa does on the
yeah,
crypto?
Visa, yeah, Visa owns a crypto punk.
Interesting.
They front run the front. They front run. Right.
God, that's interesting. It's all coming for sure, man. It's Jesus. That's what I'm gonna do whenever I get off. I've been going 90-0 today, so I haven't got a chance to really catch up on the news. When I get off tonight, while I'm winding down, I'm gonna catch up on everything. But it's a time to be alive, man. You know what? And hold these assets.
Yeah. Well, part of the news is that I think Trump is declaring war tonight.
Venezuela.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
that's the word on the street.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that go in the past few days. Like I've actually tried to like overflow my timeline with positivity, like ENS and technology. But yeah, that's been popping up more and more often. So curious to see what that does to the markets. You know what I mean? That should be. It's going to be interesting. Uh, yeah, it feels like ENS's program though. You know what I mean? When you really sit back and look at this whole space and all how Ethereum is splintering off into every like agriculture friend. You know what I mean? Just like in that one, like in it is going to have roots everywhere, but it's just going to be smart contract. You know what I mean? Decentralized code. It's going to have to be named. It just seems to me like a surefire way. And I know we've talked about this off the record before, but it's just patience. You know what I mean? You got to have patience because it ain't going to happen on mine or your time. But there's one thing I think that this is going to have to all become human readable. You know what I mean? To scale. That's what I asked myself early on was like, do I think the internet would have been as big as it was if people were still typing in IPs? And absolutely not. You know what I mean? The internet would never be if you were like, go to 123.286. And that's what I seen with all this. So I don't know, man. I was trying to scoop a name last night and I was like, you ever had this happen? There was one I was going to grab last night and I was like, oh, I'll wait till in the morning. I'll roll the dice. I thought it would be there, but I knew it wouldn't at the same time. And I'd be danged if I woke up this morning, looked it up. What did it say? Registered. I was like, there's still people out there. You know what I mean? The sniping good quality names, man. Yeah, I seen it this morning. I was like, bummer. I need to chill anyway. So you know what I mean? Like I'm steadily like, if I find a good one, but good for them, man. Good for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just kind of show. I mean, I guess it's healthy, right? It shows you that there's other people that are here. There's other people who are playing the game. There's other people who are
Mhm.
paying attention. Um, I kind of felt bad for a long time because I felt like I was the only person buying names,
Oh, I bet.
and all of Web3.
Yeah.
I was pretty. I mean, not really. That's not true. I was like one of three people, but so
Did
it's
you see this when ENS first launched? Did you see this kind of end result of where everything's headed? Did you see like the smart contract logic, like having to name it? Was that when you did it click that easy? Like when ENS, because I know it was like when it first launched, everything was different, the whole landscape. You know what I
I
mean?
thought so. I thought
Hmm.
it was. I thought it was that easy. I mean, it seemed like some of the things that I thought about, didn't really become a reality until much later.
Right, I
But,
could see that.
but I mean, I was 100% gung ho on ENS from the very beginning, and like I have a handful of videos that we made back then, which
Mhm.
kind of interesting to go back to watch. Just like hours of content of early ENS auction days. And yeah, I mean, I was, super excited about, them as domain names and about them as identity. And I mean, I it's hard to say how far I went down the rabbit hole with like naming this and naming that and subdomain grail potential. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know anybody who's more bullish on ENS than me.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. I agree. You'll come out of like left field, like yeah. I get it though. I'm the same way, but
I've
I
been
can.
right every step of the way. I've been right. I mean,
Yeah,
like name anywhere I've been wrong.
no, 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 no. I'm not, man. Same with me, man. Listen, I was running
You
around
can
like,
you could if there was somewhere to say I'm wrong, but
yeah.
it's just ENS is a core protocol of Ethereum.
That's what
It's
I've
I
seen
mean, it's
too.
a core pro. Now, yes, everybody listening, that doesn't mean that ENS is guaranteed the win, but ENS is a core protocol of Ethereum, and there's a lot of people who are working on uh, all of this. There's people who are working on Ethereum. There's working on all these different protocols, and working on ENS as a protocol, working on ENS adjacent protocols like signing with Ethereum, CCIP, Read. And then as new protocols get, sort of thought of and proposed, those protocols are, you know, not recreating the wheel with the domain names. They're fitting around that wheel.
Hmm.
And so a couple of days ago, there was that post about that new. We talked about it in the last stream. The post about
Oh,
the
the
account.
grants.
No, the account associations. That
Oh
new
yeah,
new
the Ethereum upgrade.
EIP,
Uh huh.
yeah, upgrade proposal, and it was basically account. So it was a part of the Ethereum identity stack to do account associations, to associate addresses, to say this address is related to this address, and being able to say that these two addresses are related is entirely different than being able to label each of those addresses with an ENS name.
But think about that when you speaking of ENS and being early to it, just Ethereum in general, which we talked about this last time. Look how far it has scaled and became more efficient than back then. You know what I mean? Like while maintaining security the whole time. It is crazy. It's almost like a whole different chain, man. Using in terms of speed, cost. You know what I mean? The God, I can only imagine you was there before me seeing it all. You know what I mean? It was like clunky, but it worked. You know, and now it's just like it's evolving into like a well-oiled machine, and I'm sure it's only going to get better. You know what I mean? That's the crazy part is we can look at things now, and then 3 years from now could be even more efficient. So I know they've got more stuff. I don't follow it like I probably should. They've got more upgrades lined up, I'm sure, on the roadmap already. But yeah, no, that's crazy. I think that with you, I could totally see it taking longer than you thought because, like, with me, I was like, oh, here it comes. You know what I mean? And then it's been years and years, but it's like the end goal's the same. You know what I mean? It's just at what. But did you think of? I never would have imagined when I first got into this whole space that AI would be the one that exponentiated it. You know what I mean? That's what's crazy. Like I didn't. It was almost like a left field. Thank you. You know what I mean? Like freaking, it just seems like it's speeding everything up. Authentication, especially, and verification. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to. You can't watch a video, man, and see that it's real. You know what I mean? Like you.
I'm about to change the name to Boomhauer.
What are you talking about?
You know
I'll
what
be
I
talking
mean? You know what I mean, man? You know what I mean, man?
King of the Hill.
Yeah.
Hey, what he said? Pocket sand. Pocket sand. That's funny, man.
Uh,
But
yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. Just the whole efficiency of all of it, and how fast it's all speeding up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I absolutely saw all of that from the very beginning. It was all sort of, pretty clear to me. It's just a matter of it taking a long, long time because there's so much infrastructure that's needed. There's so much adoption that's needed. Yeah.
There's still more infrastructure that's needed. You know what I mean? There's so much more stuff that's going to be built that hasn't even been built yet. It's crazy. I can see it. I mean, there's stuff that anyone coming in that's going to be coming into minting coins like Web3 class that could, after a couple of years, could spring up a genius idea and build something that was world changing. You know what I mean? Is the crazy part. There's so much stuff, but it's crazy being here with
Every
like
year there's new layers of infrastructure that allows people to build.
that's probably
On top
layers.
of
Yeah, that's probably hitting the nail on the head. It's always going to be something.
Like there used to be just IPFS, but now there's so much more in addition to IPFS that works with IPFS for decentralized websites.
Mm,
There's just so much more that allows you to build on top of Ethereum that makes building on top of Ethereum easier now. Just building on ENS, there's so much more that already built now that makes it easier to build on ENS now this year than last year.
hmm
Right. And take it further, ENS marketplaces. It's so much easier now to build on an ENS marketplace than it's ever been, because there's just so much code out there that's open source. Everything that Brantley's doing with Grail's marketplace is open source.
hmm
Like literally anybody can go take Grail's and clone it and have their own marketplace up and running in, you know, less than an hour. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think we talked about that. The open source. That is huge. If someone has like a variant, they want to build a different variant. It's there to go take the code and build. I couldn't do it, obviously. I mean, I'm sure I could if I put my mind to it and
It's
had the
called
time.
vibe coding. You could vibe code.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I could if I had the time. But yeah, that's no. I'll just use like Bolt and just like, hey, create me this, build this. So that's crazy that you use AI to build that and deploy it. But yeah, that was interesting. I was reading that article that ENS posted earlier about the Cloudflare outage and using ENS as a backup, and it was IPFS. It was IPFS, ENS. What was the other one? The storage Filecoin, I guess for data storage. But it's crazy. There's a decentralized backup to everything. It seems nowadays, or that's what's coming. There's a backup.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Talking about the article that ENS posted earlier
Yeah,
today
what are you
about
saying about the backup?
the ENS and IPFS and Filecoin using like a decentralized backup to centralized servers, like going down and shutting down huge portions.
Yeah, I mean, right, exactly. So I think they just recognize that this has been more of an issue more and more, and the issue being that web pages that rely on centralized CDNs. Um, a CDN is a content distribution network.
Mhm.
A CDN helps websites, manage information. So, you know, if you visit, a website from America versus someone else that visits a website from Japan, uh, information needs to be managed around the globe and around the servers in the world. And so there's like these centralized, content distribution networks. There's centralized cloud hosting in just different computers around the world, like, through Amazon or Microsoft or Google. And there's also centralized DNS issues, right? There's centralized DNS. And so the Web 1, Web 2 works on these centralized CDNs, cloud hosting, DNS, and each of these, is like a piece of the puzzle that makes a website work. Let it be an application or just information. And we hear about it all the time where there's outages that are being experienced either because there's an issue with the technology or an update or someone fat fingers something, ironically, or there's something malicious like an attack,
hmm
or someone's like purposefully attacking. And this costs, companies millions of dollars, this costs users millions of dollars. This takes down uh, networks for periods of time, which causes like huge economic loss. It, can become a national security concern. And so, yeah, ENS wrote this article just recently and posted about it today. and they're just talking about how to deploy decentralized websites using ENS, IPFS, Filecoin, and Safe.
There was one like mechanism in that article. I think I'll have to go back and read it. Which if you see it, you can pop it up. But it's almost like there was this company that was built to deploy all that at once for you, like synchronized. You know what I mean? So that was interesting. But yeah, that's man, it's crazy. It's almost like, this is probably a terrible reference, but it's almost like ENS is like one of those like Liu Kang's fireballs, like it just goes out and absorbs everything, because there's the whole decentralized world with naming that we all know. That's what we was here. You know what I mean? But now you have ENS coding into the DNS world. You know what I mean? It's like freaking going and growing roots into people importing DNS domains, and that's only going to get bigger. I think. What's the company? There was another. What is it? Doma protocol. That's DNS domains on chain, essentially, right? Isn't that what they're doing?
Yeah, I think they're competing with 3DNS
Okay.
and NameFi. There's sort of like three different companies that are doing competing protocols to try to do tokenization of traditional ICANN domain names. And yeah, it seems like Doma definitely has an edge, and it sounds like a partnership now with ENS Labs, which definitely gives them a good competitive position. But it right now with the whole tech stack, and yeah, domain, Doma's doing the .com version of things, and so with this new tech stack we're talking about, you don't have to use a .eth. This new tech stack we're talking about having a secure domain name and secure hosting, and doing it using decentralized technology instead of relying on the centralized tech, instead of relying on centralized CDNs and centralized domains and centralized, everything. The .com is, while the .com does have centralization, using the protocol and tokenizing the .com and then using the protocol, it has decentralized controls. At a root level, that domain name can get, wiped out from under your feet, but that's a whole other problem than your Cloudflare going down, right?
Right.
And so right now, the way the world works is that you are potentially at a risk for if you're a big enterprise company and you're not using Cloudflare, you could be at risk for a lawsuit for negligence, right? Because you need to have security that protects you. There's a reason why so many large companies and so many companies around the world use Cloudflare, because it's efficient and gets the job done, and it works.
When it goes down, it knocks out a quadrant of the United States.
Yeah, and the
God,
whole world. And so Bama, this is obviously what's going to happen. It's obviously going to get to a point where if you're an enterprise company, you are putting people at risk if your tech team doesn't have a decentralized control stack.
oh, I'm sure. Yeah, but that's what I seen. That's what I thought of when I seen that article this morning from ENS. I thought something along those lines. I could see it being like a normalcy of having a decentralized stack running parallel to your centralized stack. You know what I mean? But that's interesting. That's super interesting alone, just with tokenized DNS domains. So, like for anyone that's new that don't know, .coms like purchasing and transferring now is super complicated and could take a lot of time. Gary, you probably know more about this than I do, just because I haven't had a bunch. But you're with these technologies he was speaking of, you can essentially wrap your DNS domain. So say you own GaryPalmerJr.com, you can bring it on chain, and then you can sell this domain as an NFT. That's super interesting, that technology alone, though. You know what? I'm sure DNS domainers are going to love that, being able to just move stuff around quick. You know what I mean? How liquid it makes everything, like in an instant.
And now extend that to your mortgage, and extend that to your car, and
Mhm.
extend that to literally every physical thing you own, and now you can extend it to every thought you have. Like I mean, it sounds crazy, but every thought somebody has can be tokenized, right? Every opinion someone has can be tokenized. And then every difference of opinion can be monetized.
Yeah, it's crazy with tokenized. Like there ain't no more serious slap in the face to all of us when the SEC chair is saying that tokenization could be as quick as bringing everything on chain in the next 2 years. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure not all the way done, but like 2 years isn't really far from now. But man, it's so, and I noticed this a lot when I was in Asia, how distracted people are here. You know what I mean? It's like there's people literally think this technology is going to go away and it's had its little run. You know what I mean? And there is seriously people that believe that and believe this technology is fixing to go away. Like it had its little run, its little fame, its bubble, and it's going to be shocking for people, I think, 5 years from now. You know what I mean? When these assets start to move, which they may not, it may be like institutional. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it'll affect like common day people that's just out there, but 100% from a institutional standpoint, I think all those assets are coming on chain. Real estate, more, you know what I mean? All of that. Which I guess that's going to mean end users are going to have to interact with it unless JP Morgan Connexus handles all that for the client. You know what I mean? That's JP Morgan's got so many wings, man. And it's funny because he's like reading some of his, you've seen him, some of his old posts about Bitcoin is, you know what I mean? Some of the negative stuff. And then to see the headline yesterday about moving JP Morgan tokenized fund on Ethereum, it's just crazy seeing the switch up. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's interesting. They've got a lot of stuff like with Connexus. I don't even know what Connexus is in relation to this tokenized fund that you're talking about. You know what I mean? It's like they got several different blockchain arms going out.
Everybody's figuring out, everybody's working on different things, everyone's testing things.
Experimenting.
Yeah, massive experimentation, and yeah, a lot of the complexities that we experience in Web3 needs to be abstracted away with the technology. It needs to be abstracted away with the UX UI design. Um, I think I think what's interesting for me is kind of knowing that everything was going to be abstracted away, and thinking that the only thing that's not going to be abstracted away is somebody having to click sign, or accept.
Sign the transaction.
Yeah, like sign transaction. And I realize in a lot of ways, like even that's going to go away, right?
What about
Like,
blind signing though? That's still kind of dangerous. You know
well,
what I mean?
it's not about blind signing. It's about the MetaMask open wallet window, and then click. All of that's going away. It's just
Mhm.
go right, and so all of that's going away. It's all going to be part of the website. Like there's going to be just a
Like company
freaking.
front end.
It's just a button. It's just going to be a button. Just like imagine any JP Morgan website. It's going to be a
Sign.
button. It's just in the website. You're just going to click. There's going to be, you're going to put in the number. You're going to put in the variable, and you're going to click. Swap or switch or confirm or whatever. And then there might be like in the website, it might be like, hey, you sure you want to do this? And just when you click, yeah, I'm sure I want to do this, that's going to be signing the transaction in the back end. That's going to be
Mhm.
signing it. And even like the 12-word phrase, like in the future, most people will not have a 12-word phrase. Like in the future, most people are going to probably have their wallet created using their email address. Their wallet's going to be created using their eye or their face or their fingerprint, their biometrics.
Mhm.
Um, they're not going to know Web3 this, crypto that, wallet this, anything. It's just gonna be like, oh, you want a JP Morgan account? Okay, look here, right? And it takes a picture of your eye, and in the back end, it generates a crypto wallet, and then it just goes, here's your account, and then you lose your password one day, and you're like, oh, I lost my password one day, and it's like, look here,
Yeah, yeah.
reconstitute your account, and then everything just like loads back up.
Mhm.
Like all that's Web3 in the back end, but people aren't really going to know it. They're just going to use websites and use technology.
But this is one thing I'll say, and I mean, I just feel this way personally with what happened to me in the past, which I told you on like the last episode. But I almost want to have us, and I do. I have a cell phone for like socials and doing stuff like this, and then I have a cell phone for crypto. You know what I mean? Like for like to separate and minimize the even potential chance of phishing or anything. You know what I mean?
That's
The
exactly how you're supposed to do it.
but
That's pretty impressive.
That yeah, but but that's the good thing that with like Web3 class can teach people. You don't have to go in and learn. You know what I mean? You don't pay for your education. Like in a sense, you find out. But yeah, it makes operate so much more relaxed now, knowing you know what I mean. Any like valuable asset I pull into my hot wallet that's on a mobile phone, I immediately kick out. You know what I mean to somewhere secure. So that's it's going to be interesting to see how everything. But yeah, J.P. Morgan, man, all these institutions are coming on board. It's wild to see. You know what I mean? And it's only intensifying. 26, I think, is going to be a good year. Do you think I'm still DCAing, man? Do you think we're fixing to catch and go up from here with Bitcoin, or do you think we're going to dip some? I mean, I'm going to be DCAing regardless, but
I'm not a trader, man. I don't like thinking about the price. It's really hard to say what's going to happen with Bitcoin on a macro scale, especially when we start adding in these new variables like potential war.
Venezuela,
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, no, I agree.
Because there's theoretically how Bitcoin should respond, and how you would think it would respond more similarly to gold. Um, but it's just hard to say. Just generally speaking, I think things are going to pump more in 2026 and then crash in 2026, right? I am one of these believers that it's like 2026 is going to be the end of the hoorah. So we'll see where we're at, and we'll see maybe at the end of the hoorah, that's when we get an ENS bull market. Who knows?
That's how it was last time, though. Remember, it's when all the coins like ran up and then started going down. It was like a few months after, and then it was like came out of nowhere. That's crazy, man. That was wild times. But think of the ENS infrastructure that was developed in that short amount of time. There was none. You know what I mean? There was bull market, raging bull market, ENS app, turn green, dopamine hit, register name. You know what I mean? And then remember Vision started like growing out of nowhere. And remember it was just numbers at first, and then it expanded to the behemoth that it became. And then OpenSea quit caring about ENS. You know what I mean? Like it was a bunch of GoDaddy came, and it's crazy watching the seasons of all this. I'm glad there's more marketplaces coming online. I actually look forward, man, to using Grails and Vision. So that's one thing you said earlier with multiple companies. I feel like for the end users of ENS, multiple companies in the ENS space is going to be good for the end user. You know what I mean? Like competition is going to benefit the end user in the end. So that's cool to see. Like even with the what is it? The registration gifts. They're giving away money. That's cool to see that some of the users are actually going to benefit from that. I got to go in the next week. I'll probably do it next Wednesday. I got to renew a crap ton of my domains. When's the end of that? Do you know? It's the end of December, right? I've got time, right?
Yeah, and end of December, and you got to renew your name by the end of December.
Yeah, I gotta do that.
Yeah, that's super. It's a super great incentive. There needs to be more economic stimulation for ENS builders and the ENS community to build around the not just the .eth assets, but really as name chain comes online, ENS v2 comes online, and there's more tokenization of traditional ICANN domain names. The infrastructure to buy and sell and transfer and to manage these names also needs to come more online.
Mm-hmm.
And this is economic activity that needs to be stimulated. And so it's not a matter. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think a lot of people want to be focused on the .eth, and a lot of people generally are just like looking at the ball, and the ball right now is .eth. But I don't think a lot of people realize like where the ball is going is just this massive on-chain world where everything is on chain, like domain names and mortgages and ideas, tangible things, intangible things. And so, in terms of ENS infrastructure, all of these marketplaces, like from the ENS Labs perspective, but also like from all the marketplaces perspective, y- like if we're going to tokenize a .com and put a .com on chain, then how do you update that .com, right? And so you would imagine that there's going to be more and more of that moving on chain, and it just in my eyes is just it's massive infrastructure, right? You think about if you think about the matrix of everything that you need for .eth, and then you put all of that in one column of a spreadsheet, and then you have a second column for .com and a second column for .box and a second column, a fifth column for this, all these other TLDs, right? You have Nike, you have you know um, whatever, you have Microsoft, everybody has a TLD. Some of them tradable, some of them not tradable, some of them, right? And so, uh, presumably, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but presumably in like 5 years from now, if you go to ENS Vision or Grails or any of these, or even like, I would imagine at some point GoDaddy needs to get on the train. Like if you go to, Vision or Grails, you're going to be able to buy just like Vision had it, like Vision, you know,
DNS names.
yeah, like you were able to segment by DNS names, and you were able to sub segment by 3DNS or NameFi, and now there's DOMA.
Hmm. I think that's going to have to happen. Are you talking about having the option like it was? Yeah, I think because
Yeah, because that's the whole thing, right? That's the whole thing that ENS is doing. That's the whole thing is saying that every ICANN TLD is an ENS name.
mhm.
So all of that ICANN TLD infrastructure needs to go live, needs to get built. Like ENS Labs needs DOMA to do what DOMA wants to do, to bring domains on chain, but then everyone else, then there's so much more that has to get built, right? Like people need to recreate. Dude, web hash is like so ahead of the game. Um,
Yeah, that's cool tech, man.
hopefully
That
they
I
don't.
will.
Hopefully they keep going and making their stuff better and better. But um, like again with the ENS Labs article talking about the practical guide to decentralized websites, and the whole tech stack that they're proposing, using ENS, using ETH.limo, using IPFS, using Filecoin, using safe smart contracts. Um, yeah, it's a lot of it's a lot of infrastructure that has to get brought online. It's not 100% decentralized, right? Like DNS isn't
Well,
100%.
that's what I was just fixing to say. Think about it like this. Don't even think ENS, DNS. You said there's going to be so much. The whole world is going to be brought on chain. That's going to be so much decentralized code. At some point they're going to have to name it. You know what I mean? That's the inevitability that I know. It's just a matter of when. You know what I mean? When is it that hey, there's this initiative of hey, this needs to be human readable for easy like use on Etherscan or whatever. You know what I mean? Because I think what's the company that's doing smart contract that's naming? There's something that's ENS I see pop up often.
ENS Scribe.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think that's cool what they're doing with naming contracts. But I think that's going to be at mass level, man. It's just I'm curious to see is it what do these companies prefer? Like Budweiser got beer, but you know what I mean. It's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I just feel everything's going to be named at some point. You know what I mean? Like
But it doesn't have to be .eth.
that's the bet. You see what I'm saying? That's the
So the so there's like different questions. Like there's this one question where everything has to be named, we know everything has to be named, just like the whole not people don't use IP addresses. There's no IP
Right.
addresses out there. That's
Right.
everything is a domain name. And so we know like in blockchain, everything is going to be named with a Web3 ENS name, but it doesn't have to be a .eth. And so there's a separate question about with Budweiser, like when they have smart contracts, my premise is they're obviously going to name their smart contracts, right? It's just better organization, better security, um, making things official. But then the question is, when will they use Budweiser.com versus or something.dev.budweiser.com versus using a .eth? Or when will
Right.
.eth become just more in vogue the way that .com became more in vogue, right? At some point, a car company said, hey, that Ford.com is more important than, our magazine division. So at what point does Ford.com go, hey, Web3 or, Ford.eth is sort of more important?
Yeah, no, I agree. Seeing which why in the road these companies take. You know what I mean? We got to get Tom Lee rocking a .eth, man. And I know Brantley, and I've seen what's up with this guy. Why ain't he rocking one? That's got to be operation number one.
He's got to know about it.
He does, he does. But we've got to Trojan horse him into all these other institutions that's on board since he's the little face of Ethereum. You know what I mean? I don't see why. Like, I honestly, genuinely wonder why he doesn't. What, in your opinion, why wouldn't he? Is embedded into the Ethereum ecosystem as he is. I'm sure he uses it to send
the
funds.
.eth is a little bit of a cult. Maybe he's worried. Maybe he's a little. I mean, he's into cult. He's sort of a leader of the cult. I think he eventually needs to have that .eth. Okay, so what if he's waiting for the .eth because the .eth is going to be rocket fuel. He can't add the .eth too early. He has to wait until
Next all-time high.
Yeah, there's things start popping off, and then things start going, getting a little bearish, and then he had some opium by adding that .eth, and people are like, oh my god, yeah, the .eth, and then like the cult goes wild.
The little X ecosystem will go ballistic. The little ENS ecosystem, yeah, that. But I see people, particularly Brantley and eThinker, always owning like every move he makes, every corner he turns. It's like put your .eth on. But yeah, so I'm curious to see when.
Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he's uncertain.
No, that guy's got to see this, man. He's got to know. You can't be that deep in the ecosystem and not know. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. That's things I ponder from time to time.
There's also this like normal people like it's funny, normal people like Tom Lee and just like people that own companies and things like that, like rich people and normal people and people with jobs, especially people who aren't domainers. Nobody likes buying their name. Nobody likes it.
From some squatter that's trying to sell it to him, like, "Hey, buddy."
Yeah. For any amount of money, nobody likes it.
Oh no, I agree.
So at some point, you recognize that, oh, this might be a good value, all things like considered and whatnot. But nobody likes it, and definitely nobody wants to pay a lot, right? People will use a shit name before they pay a lot. So part of it could just be not wanting to name rush, because maybe it could be possible. Maybe he recognizes that him and his team need to, purchase all their names, or that people should purchase their names before he puts more attention to it. Like he's not going to talk about Ethereum until, his company purchased Ethereum first, and then they disclosed it to the world, and then they talk about it.
You think same thing possibly?
Well, that's the MO. That's the MO. These guys know you do things quietly. You don't announce things until you have to announce things, and you don't announce things, without announcing things strategically to make yourself right. You know?
Secure the bag and then post.
Yeah. It's sort of like everyone's bearish on Ethereum. I buy Ethereum. Once I tell people that I bought Ethereum, they're going to get, bullish.
Bullish. Yeah.
Once they're bullish, they're going to pump my bags. I'm guaranteed to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. That's the MO. That's the pattern of thinking. That's how they're paid to think. That's how they're trained to think. That's how they wake up thinking. That's what they think about in the shower. That's what they dream about. And so why if that's like how they eat, breathe, go to the restroom and all of that, then why wouldn't they do the same with any other digital asset?
Yeah, no, I agree. What's up with name chain, man? Have you heard anything? I haven't seen anything on name chain. I think they're going to pop that out of nowhere. Do you think it's going to be in 2026? I think that's going to set off the decentralized digital identity bull market. That's my opinion. That's my call. I may be wrong, but do you think they're going to launch this in 2026 like they said? Or do you think, I know they had to pivot from Linea to this other company. You know which one I'm speaking of. But do you think still in goal 2026 launch of name chain is still going to happen?
In 2026?
Yeah.
I don't think it's 2025.
No, I know it's not 2025. Do you think it's going to in 2026?
um
I haven't really heard anything. I know they're work, which I'm sure the technology takes longer to build, but they said 2026. Do you think that's still the plan with that hiccup with Linea?
I mean, I would imagine so.
It's quiet, Gary. It's quiet out here on these streets.
I would imagine so. I
Probably
mean,
by design.
technology takes a long time. That's for certain. Tech, and they want to get things right.
Yeah, it's imperative they get things right. You know what I mean? But that I don't see any. I want it to launch, man. Listen, I'm telling you, that's going to be a bullish moment for ENS. I think that's going to be the start of it all. That's my call. I could be wrong, but I've felt that way since last year.
Yeah, well, the thing is that you are right. You're probably right, and the reason you're right is because name chain is a lot of things. Name chain um, is new and exciting, and there's a lot of cool things that can spark. But then name chain is going to have an anchor app, a killer app. And that killer app is ENS. And when ENS launches as a killer app on Namechain, it's going to be the version 2. And so the version 2 of ENS allows for more, greater, stronger, better, faster technological capability.
Mm-hmm.
It's bigger, better, faster, stronger, hotter, and better in every way. And so name chain is one thing to spark this catalyst you speak of. ENS V2 is probably a even bigger deal. And then there's the other apps that are going to launch on Namechain when Namechain launches alongside ENS.
What do you mean by other apps? Are you seeing like visualizing some that for subdomains?
Potentially, but I mean, there's the app, there's the ENS app on Namechain, and there, for Namechain to be successful, there needs to be a main killer app, which is ENS. But for Namechain to be successful, there also needs to be other activity, other apps launching using, on Namechain.
Yeah, using ENS.
Not using ENS, using Namechain. Just like when someone launches a smart contract, are you going to launch on Base, mainnet? Are you going to launch on Ape Chain? Are you going to launch on Linea?
So for someone to launch,
we're going to launch on Namechain. So if Vision, for example, launches a smart contract, and they can choose between ape chain or base chain or name chain. Will they launch their smart contract on name chain? Now, no, Brantley did the EFP contract for the Ethereum Follow protocol. When he launched the EFP contract, name chain didn't exist. Name chain still doesn't exist. But when he launched EFP, he launched it on base chain. And so in the future, when Brantley or Namehash or Ethereum Identity Kit or Unruggable or Vision or these people or those people or namespace or just any of them, when they launch a smart contract on an L2, will they launch it on Namechain or somewhere else? And then when Namechain launches, what apps are going to be launched on Namechain besides the Ethereum V2 app?
So let me ask you this. Look, look, there's my jungle cat. You see her ear. Stella, get down. So do you see on Namechain, do you think it's only going to be digital identity apps that launch on Namechain? I guess that'd be the purpose. Digital identity related apps on Namechain, or anyone? Are you saying anyone could launch on Namechain?
I mean, it is called Namechain, but I think anybody can launch on any blockchain for any reason.
That's interesting. It's interesting to see how that plays out. I just think it's going to be a lot of chatter when it launches, and I think the chatter is going to bring the people, and the people is going to bring the floor prices, and the floor prices are going to bring, you know, what comes next. It'll be fun, man. It'll be fun for everyone in the community. I think this persevered through this, especially it's been accumulating in these times. Man, I tell you what, when I was buying in that summer, Gary, I would be crazy to not be buying at some of these prices when everything slowed. You know what I mean? Because it's like the thesis is the same. Nothing has changed. If anything, it's more bullish. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I've low key taken advantage of these slow times and .eth and being able to accumulate. You know what I mean? Good names that I wouldn't have been able to that were crazy and like 3-4 years ago.
People are doing great in terms of their buying and selling right now, or
Yeah,
buying and potential selling. Unbelievable some of the names that are going, but I'm glad people are getting good deals, and yeah, more domainers, more builders. That's the way I see it. But
did you
hey,
see
let's.
Ready.eth? They got a decent bid today. I think it was like
Oh
4.
yeah, that was impressive. If that was real.
No, that was real. It was Misk. Misk, I think he sold something the other day for a larger, bigger amount than normal. Yeah, it was him that bid 4.25, 11.9 on Ready.
Sorry, is that a ENSer?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he sold something here recently. It's a little bit more complicated to go. Man, you know how it was with like Vision and everything when it was all functioning. You could zap around the blockchain quick and find out something. You know what I mean? It's a
Well,
little bit more complicated.
yeah, Vision was a great site.
It's a little
Yeah.
bit more complex now moving around. You know, it's like GoDID is like a minefield of data that's just not working now, and it's been interesting these past couple of weeks. I'm just glad that I can bulk renew domains because it was fixing to be brutal days. I know for you also. Imagine having to individually renew each domain. Jesus Christ, that would be brutal. That would be painful. It wasn't painful registering them one at a time. You know what I mean? But going to renew them, oh man.
Well, you can bulk renew in the ENS app.
Yeah, I know. So, but somebody said this. I thought I said this, and you may can clarify. You can't pick and choose. So, like, if you've got 7.3 character in the wallet with 55 characters, going to make you bulk renew all of them. You can't differentiate 5 character and 3 character. That's what I thought I read. I could be wrong. But
Well,
you
I
know,
mean, if you select 5 names to bulk renew, and you say, yeah, bulk renew for 2 years, it's going to bulk renew them all for 2 years.
oh, so I can search, I can select, like manually select the ones that I want to do. I've
Yeah,
never done an ENS app.
you should be able to.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, I'll have to do that. That's not
But
bad.
you don't get the referral credit if you're trying to give yourself referral credit.
Yeah, I got to get in the winnings, man. But that's actually going to be good. You know how much that would help with renewals to win like that 1,000 or more? Imagine somebody that just has like a couple $100 in renewals to make 1,000.
I know.
It's like a stimulus check for ENS TGN.
I know. It is interesting. It is interesting.
That's it. I hope this is normal. You know what I mean? Like, shoot, I hope it's like a normal thing with these renewals. I see it's a win-win for everyone. You know what I mean? For everybody from the top down.
Well, they have to figure out where the funding is going to come from next month. Right now, the $10,000 is coming out of Name Hash's pocket. Which is less money for their team to spend on anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. Have you used the Snipe Zone yet?
No, I haven't. I've looked at it.
It actually looks good, man. Flow, like it's got good flow scrolling down through it. I got on there a couple days ago. Yes, it's good to see. I'm keeping my eye on that too. It seems like they're making some quick changes and enhancements and upgrades to the site. So that's good to see people building. There's actually some people building on digital identity. You know what I mean? That's good to see. It's actually quite a few people.
Well, again, it seems like the referral program from NameHash has definitely sparked, that interest and activity of people wanting to, do such, because they're recognizing, wow, there could be an actual monetization avenue for monetization.
Well, I hope that continues. You know what I mean? I hope that continues because you see it, I see it. I'm sure everyone sees it. You know what I mean? So hopefully, there's a way they can all figure it out on a positive note of all the negatives and stuff that people said over the years. And I think they've been putting in work, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I don't get into all the politics and all the little groups, and you know what I mean. But I'm just saying, like Marta, we was talking about last time, like that crew, they hustled, man. Listen, there was no that crew hustled, got stuff accomplished. So I look forward to seeing Melly and James and some of the others, man. I hope they have like very successful in terms of like pushing the space forward overall. Because what pushes the space forward for digital identity pushes it forward for us. You know what I mean? It's a win-win.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I like the work that they're doing too, but they're definitely hustling. There's a lot of work that's going on in the back end, and yeah, I mean, I think we're all rooting for the success of ENS and what it means for having decentralized digital sovereignty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here. Well, all right, Gary, I'm about to have to pop. It's
Well,
been
hold on, real quick. So 1985 came up on stage in a Twitter space. Just want to see if he has anything to say and test the tech, see if we could hear him and whatnot. So,
yeah. See,
what's up,
yeah.
1985? How you doing?
My guys, I'm glad you guys are doing these spaces. You got a nice dynamic, and yeah, Gary, you're steeped in this technicals. I think that's really helpful for naive folk and certainly people less who are just still confused at times. So, I mean, I think that's really value add. I wanted to ask you a question about name chain. Because I think right now we're pretty siloed as an ENS community, and it's the question of like how to grow outside of the current user base. How do you see name chain doing that?
How do we see name chain growing outside the current user base? Yeah, so there's probably layers to the onion. Everything is sort of like layers. All like community. Community is layers, right? There's people that show up every day, and there's other people that like ENSers. There's people that use ENS every day and pay attention to the day and day, like us. And then there's people that just own an ENS name and they don't really understand the politics or the culture or a lot of that. And so, at the core of name chain is name chain. And like adjacent to the core of name chain is, name chain and ENS labs. It carries a really strong reputation and a lot of clout, a lot of connections, a lot of biz dev, a lot of dev relations as well. And there's just, it's interesting because name chain and ENS labs is the circle. but at the same time, that because they're the core team, they have the ability to reach outside of the immediate circle and pull others in from Web3 or pull others in from an enterprise perspective. Beyond that, maybe the next layer of the onion is the ENS DAO. And you could break that up into levels as well. There's the service providers and there's like, other contributors to the DAO. Um, in addition to, but not limited to the ENS DAO delegates. And, each of these entities is just an organization that can pull in people from the outside, that's going to build an app. It's going to influence people. Um, I think if you're talking about like a direct sort of campaign or initiative, um, that would just have to be intentional to say, hey, like maybe James as a developer, is he a developer relation? Is that James or is that
James,
yes? So there's James, and then there's other people on the team that do sort of developer relations and stuff like that. And so if ENS Labs like made it an initiative to want to reach outside, then they could. Um, and I think they will, because for name chain to be successful, I think for any chain to be successful, it needs users, and that is a metric, and so they're going to have to focus on that metric. Um, yeah, and that's why I'm saying, like, I wonder who's going to be an initial sort of project to launch on name chain. You know, there might have been a post about this, right, where there might have been some minor some ENS service providers that are going to be launching some contracts and some other stuff. But yeah, and like I was saying earlier, when if and when ENS Vision launches, whatever they have for smart contracts, obviously post name chain launch, is Vision gonna, and part of it is culture, but there's also like technological advantages and disadvantages to using name chain versus a different blockchain. And so it might not always make sense to use name chain. And so part of it is going to be the culture of saying, hey, this is the chain you want to be because, this is where cool kids are, or this is where the identity stack is. But then partially some people will say, hey, you want to use name chain because we have like a technological advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it sort of partially answered my curiosity. I know that the quote enterprise solution is something that the ENS is focused on, and so bringing business on chain and allowing them to name and use smart contracts in that way makes a lot of sense. And obviously, from a developer perspective, they're part of spreading that gospel and working with the appropriate entities and stuff. But I mean, we've spent a long time in the space, for better and for worse, doing the when marketing chant and pitchforks out about it. And I think there are different ways. I mean, obviously, they've chosen chosen a tact that is about sort of business collaboration. And so I'm just curious I'm just curious to see how awareness is spread of this chain, because right now ENS has an awareness problem, right? We all know that like not nearly enough people know about on-chain identities using ENS. And so, figuring out how to get all those wallets, all those crypto wallets who still are unaware, people are already, already aware of the chain, but not necessarily aware of ENS. How do we get those people on, and how name chain chooses to do that is a real intrigue for me. So I'm really interested to see how they roll out and try to target a user base, because I think it's hard enough now and the idea of rolling out a name chain is sort of exciting theoretically, but I think it requires, as you say, users. And it's okay. How do we grow brand awareness for this new thing? And I'm curious to see how they do it.
Yeah, I sort of hear two things in your comments. I hear one thing that's about sort of the awareness of ENS and usability of ENS versus the awareness of name chain and the usability of name chain. And yeah, those are two, and they're going to be highly connected, but they're two entirely different things. And on the ENS side of things, I think ENS V2 is going to make a big difference because right now there's technological issues that I think some people are aware of in terms of mobile wallets recognizing ENS or subdomains like being created or recognized. MetaMask desktop versus MetaMask mobile. That there's or maybe subdomains on base chain or base chain ENS names versus other n- you know layer two. There's like issues where things aren't firing on all cylinders, and things don't have maximum compatibility. And my understanding is that ENS v2 basically fixes everything. It fixes everything, and it fixes a bag of chips. Um, and so when all that gets fixed, then that allows all the mobile wallets to go balls to the walls, without having things not work and people complain. It allows the layer twos to work properly in the mobile wallets. Go balls to the walls and not have everybody complain. And so the whole ENS v2 launching solves a lot of issues, and I think those issues being solved will increase buildability, um, and making it work the way that it should work, which will then result into more people integrating and using and needing. Um, so that's like a perpetual positive loop right there, with the upgrade, and then getting people to use name chain, again being like a different thing. Um, I think we just need to better understand the advantages and disadvantages of name chain, which they have articulated into like why they've chosen the layer two that they chose, for like I think like the instant settlements, for example. Like every layer two technology sort of has like a give and take in terms of advantages and disadvantages. And like one of the advantages of the name chain, I'm pretty sure is going to be the instant settlement, which not all chains have instant settlement. Some chains you got to wait 30 minutes for a transaction to settle. So, for example, when a name chain gets minted, you'll have a immediate settlement of that name on name chain, which is a big deal because you don't want to have to wait 30 minutes for your name to finalize, right? That's kind of like super ridiculous. And so there's going to be advantages, and it's going to have a really like awesome team. It's going to be like really strong technologically. I think like really smart, competent teams respect really smart, competent teams. And so I think, you know, I think we'll have like cool stuff, right? Um, I don't think we're going to be, um, no shade, but I don't think we're going to be in a base chain situation where we're just trying to pump like meme coins on base chain to get attention.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not like anti-base, by the way. So
Yeah, neither am I.
yeah, and I think I've said many times, I think Jesse has done a good job evangelizing, and and that ties into what we're talking about. Like you do need some evangelizing to make these things live, and spread. So I think that's maybe one thing I'd like to see, so that again awareness grows. And um, but yeah, I'm excited, dude. I'm very bullish. Obviously, uh, we'll have working marketplaces, and like our ecosystem will be more full for all of it coming together. The bear hasn't all been a net negative. There's been building in the bear. So like 2026, you get to see some of this stuff come to fruition. So I'm excited about it. But just to you guys, I'm loving it. I'm loving the stream. You guys keep at it. I really like the dynamic. Bammy, you know how much I love you. Come on.
Careless, man. It's so good to hear your voice.
Yeah, you're my guy. Come on. It's just ridiculous. We've all been hunkered together in the bunker for so long. But yeah, you go do your thing. But I really I'll join as much as I can when you guys pop up.
Well, yes, good to hear you. Gary can tell you. I think we're going to plan on at least Wednesdays and Sundays doing these at minimum. So that'll be good to have the community. We can all come in and kick it. And I appreciate you coming up too, man. Showing that it works. Gary set this up. So yeah, I appreciate you coming up, man. And I'm sure we'll have some interesting conversations on here. I look forward to it. Honestly, Gary Careless, I look forward to him in the future.
Works for me. We'll try to do Vision Spaces on Tuesday. So I mean, I'll let you guys know so we can.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
Make sure schedules align and everything.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'll be there.
Well, all right, Gary. Getting us calendar back up running again.
Yeah, no, right. I remember.
Yeah. Well, very good. Well, everyone, thanks for showing up. Everyone in the, watching via the streams, everyone who's live in the Twitter space. Really appreciate, a couple hours hanging out, talking it out, talking about, what these banks are doing, getting involved, what these, how these banks are getting involved in technology and how these technology companies are getting involved in banks, Really interesting to see the technology companies tokenizing the Ethereum funds. Really interesting to see YouTube doing payouts in the PayPal stablecoin. Really interesting seeing PayPal applying to be, get their, a deeper bank license and stuff like that. It's great to speculate on what's happening with ENS. Hopefully, they're focusing on the tech, and then then they follow up with some sort of marketing. Otherwise, we're going to have to do the marketing ourselves, or at least some of it. But
no days off. We stream every day. No, I'm just kidding.
Emma, thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll do this again. Maybe we'll do this again Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. I'll see you guys Sunday. I'm sure I'll talk to you before.
Yeah, and then we got to figure out if we're doing one of these on Wednesday. Maybe not.
Yeah, 100%. I'm game. Lock me in.
Well, it's Christmas Eve.
Oh yeah. La, 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 la.
See, all of a sudden,
I'll get with you.
See, that's crypto, guys. That's crypto. It goes from 100%. All of a sudden, it's like the poly market odds just went down.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was probably
Wednesday.
Hit 38% instantly.
Yeah, dude. We just that was a red candle.
Yeah, that's
a red candle.
I'll probably be there. I'll work around. The only thing I know, I'm going to be traveling, so I can. Yeah, I can probably make it work. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Earlier in the day, later in the day, we can definitely figure that out. But be safe, be with your family, prioritize yourself and your family. Thanks for everyone for showing up. Thanks, Bama, for hanging out.
See you, Gary. Y'all have a good one. See you, Careless.
Thanks, everybody. Talk soon.